be on us all. We are going to have some discussion today, probably for about an hour, talking about the holiday today and all of the stuff going on for the next couple days or month or however you decide to celebrate the holiday. My name is Charlie. I'm a non binary sci fi fantasy writer, and I do a lot of other things, and I feel weird every time I go through and list them all off, so I'm not going to do that today. I am joined today by the wonderful yeah, I pointed the right way. Glory. I,
Hello.
I distracted myself for a minute because I'm like, did I point the right way? And I did.
Yeah, you got this.
I'm getting better at knowing my directions because they're backwards.
Mm-hmm. They're very backwards.
Alrighty, so today is Beltane, however you want to say it, is fine with me. And I think that this is like the sleeper holiday of the year because every time I watch anything that anybody is saying about it, especially on the more witchy vlogs and stuff, it's like, so it's the first of the summer festivals and da 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 da. It's just kind of, it's a thing, and just it's a thing that happens. But Beelzebub is kind of secretly a big deal. It's the sister festival to Samhain, which happens in October, and as a as a part of that, it's the same kind of thing. So the veil is thin. The ancestors come to visit. The Dineshi are out doing their thing, and so you got to keep yourself protected and safe, and get ready for the massive change of season. And a lot of that goes back to in Ireland traditionally, they had two seasons. You had the light season and the dark season. And today is the date that we start the light season, which would later be divided into spring and summer, but was just, hey, there's sun. There's a little bit of sun. It's not raining as much, still raining a lot, but eh. And then you have the dark season where you have the snows and everything that would be marked at Samhain. The word Beltane has a very contested origin, but the one that makes the most sense to me and the one that I see the most consensus behind is that it comes from the Proto-Indo-European phrase, which means the bright fire,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes sense. It was traditional to extinguish all the fires in your home, and then the local druid would light a big bonfire. Back in the olden days, traditionally made out of bone and horn. Um,
Stone sulfur.
the fire would be brought back to the home. So
Yeah.
it was the bright fire. So this holiday means a lot to me. I know I'm talking a lot, but just try to get the introduction in. This holiday means a lot to me. When I was younger, in my teens, and going through a really hard time, a group of people that I tend to refer to publicly as my second family kind of took me in, and I spent a lot of time with them, and they were very Irish pagan. And some of that kind of rubbed off on me and got me to where I am today. But I will never forget the Beltane fires. They would have a big bonfire every year, and so many people would come out, and there'd be revelry and people playing their barons around the fire, and
Mm-hmm.
at night would come and bring her belly dancing troupe, and so there would be dancers and games, and it well, while going through a really hard time in my life, it was this first time in such a long time I had found a place that felt like home.
Mm.
Like everyone there was so welcoming and so gracious and kind, and I felt like these are my people. Like this is where I am meant to be. And so even before I became more active in various pagan traditions and whatnot, we continued to do Beltane around the house, and it's something that I've kept with me for a very long time.
I had
So
a similar experience as a child. Growing up in South and North Mississippi, there was usually Beltane. bonfire celebrations at the beginning of May, and we were often invited as part of the people who are aware of the other world. Like, uh, folks would definitely pick up on us as kids being aware of the other world, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know about your parents. They seem like straights. But nevertheless, we get invited, and my parents were always up for a party, especially an outdoor party where they didn't have to worry about making sure their children behave. And so, yeah, like all of us knew, stay away from fire, it burns, like. So that wasn't a problem, and so it was like, yeah, they're gonna run around, they're gonna have fun, and so to like, I don't know, we probably went to 12 to 15 in my first 18 years of life of the May bonfires, and I have so many warm memories. Now, sometimes they were Scottish versions, sometimes Welsh, sometimes Irish, because there's a lot of all of that in Mississippi, both like who've been here for 100 or more years, but also like new migrants, and also people just going to university. We've always lived in university towns, and it's just been so nice. Like I cannot accurately describe the feeling of the moment May starts. I know it's going to be good. I mean, it is also my birthday month, but like May is going to be good. Whatever April and March and even sometimes February and January, whatever Michigas they have brought us, don't worry. May's going to clear it all out. And like, that is what I've always said, even before I really understood Beltane or any of that of, don't worry, daddy, May's coming. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I was like, I just know everything will get better in May. We just have to make it to May.
And thanks to the work of Gerald Gardner and the creation of Wicca and the various groups that have spawned from there, Beltane has really become a major festival within a lot of neo-pagan groups, whether it's something that is indigenous to the gods that they work with or not. But the one biggest thing that
Yeah, it's hilarious when Catholic priests show up to these, by the way.
right, one of the things that gets me about a lot of the ways people talk about Beltane is it's generally just kind of a fertility festival, and yes, that is part of it. Uh,
Sure, of course, it's part of it. Like, the crap's got to get planted, okay?
but it's so much more than that. This is the time of great upheaval, and if I don't know where anybody is listening to this from, but I know around here the weather has been crazy. It's been super hot, super cold, back and forth, and the storms have been all over the place. It is a time of upheaval, it is a time of change. The seasons are changing, and so this is a time for doing your planning. Traditionally, you would walk your this is the time when you would walk your property, and you would do it partially to do a blessing and to renew the wards and stuff around your property, but also to make note of what needs fixing. Oh, this fence, part of the fence is down, it needs to be mended. This is broken, I need to work on that. So you would walk your property and make a list of all of the things that you need to do. And that makes it a time of planning, not a time of contracts. Today, the next couple days, not the days to do contracts. Not not
Mhm.
not good, and especially not to get married. This is not a month for getting married in.
I agree.
Um, it's
No, this
it's
is a month for flirting.
yes, it is.
Literally, I woke up from a dream today. Ooh, I was flirting with disaster.
Oh, because it's folk wisdom has a weird way of actually meaning something. Because
Mhm,
I'm sure I don't know if everyone has heard this, but Mary and May rue the day.
mhm.
I remember my grandmother saying this all the time. I remember my great grandmother saying this all the time. And I only know two people that got married in May, and their marriages did not last long. They were fiery and full of conflict and strife. And I'm not saying that it's specifically because of May, but when the folk wisdom comes down to you and says, don't do something at this time, and you see it get validated, you start wondering.
You
It,
wonder.
it makes you kind of wonder.
It's true. I've only ever been to 2 May weddings, and neither of them made it 3 years.
So now is not the time for contracts. Now is not the time for offerings. It's the time for us to be planning and figuring out what we want to do and putting up our protections and making sure that everything is good and safe and secure. And I think after the April so many have had, I have talked to so many people about just, I know quite a few people that either lost their jobs, got a cancer diagnosis, had a death in the family, had a car accident or other car troubles, mysterious, strange happenings that prevented them from going to work, whether that's a driver's license being invalidated for no reason or somebody whose credentials just disappeared from the work system.
Yep.
So they couldn't log in. And nobody knows what, like, April was chaos incarnate, especially this year. It often is.
Amen.
My mother
This
broke
was exceptional.
April.
This April reminded me of 2020 April.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, I was thinking about this while I was making my coffee today. Of this April, really January through April, but in particular April really reminded me of 2020 and January through April of 2020. It was chaos and misery and just random troubles that make no sense, but you still have to deal with them. You can't just ignore them.
We had a gas leak in the house, and that was fun.
I am so glad y'all survived that because I know some unfortunate stories.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that too. But that, needless to say, just to make sure anybody who hears that knows, we got rid of all of the gas in the house. Like, it's turned off outside the house. We have no more gas appliances inside the house. We're fine. But like, April was a time of chaos and all kinds of crazy stuff. Hello, Stephanie. And yeah, April was bad. It was all bad. So
it's behind us, though. Praise. She is behind us. We are now in May territory. It's all going to be better now. It's all. I woke up with such a good feeling today, and it wasn't just because I was flirting with disaster in my dreams. Oh, it was sexy too, by the way. But yeah, it's going to be a good. I did not even hurt that much today when I got up. Like, May is going to be good, y'all. I have a good feeling.
So if you haven't done anything, don't worry. Beltane is not really a day. So you can celebrate Beltane whenever you feel is appropriate. So some people celebrate when the first white flowers appear on the yews, when the first yellow wildflowers appear in the neighborhood around them. So for us, that actually would have been about a week or so ago if we had not stuck to a calendar date. So whenever you feel in this time period that you want to do something to commemorate this holiday, if you didn't do anything this morning, or if you don't have the energy or resources to do something today, that doesn't mean you cannot participate in this holiday. One, it's a 3-day holiday, so
you got time.
You got time. But technically, some people celebrate for the whole month and really practice hardcore in all of the things we're going to be talking about. So if you haven't set yourself up, don't worry, you have time. Hello, Laura. How are you doing today? Speaking of upheavals in life. See a lot. Hello, Kat. If you want to come on. Yeah, come on.
Come on, more the merrier.
So when I say today is about planning, today is a really good day. I like doing this a couple times a year. It's one of the things I love about the 4 fire festivals is this is another thing to do on Samhain.
Mhm.
So
I just love that if you really think about it, it's a planner holiday.
yes, today is a
Like, and you
planner
know
holiday.
we love a calendar, we love planner stickers. You know how much we writers love these things.
So take an account of everything that's going on in your life. What needs to be fixed? What needs to be changed? What should you be working on? And not really. And it's also that freedom because contracts made during the festival of Beltane are bad. They are believed to be giving up your power to the other. So you don't make
Mhm.
contracts today because if you do, you're giving your power to the other person for the entire year. You don't get it back to the next Beltane. So you don't make contracts today. And having that weight taken off of yourself that today is the day that I plan, but I don't do make commitments.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to figure out what should I be doing, what should I be working on. It's actually kind of liberating in a way because you don't have to have firm, solid answers. You just
My
have to be figuring it out and getting kind of the shape of the work that you want to do done and not having to have those, well, I am definitely going to. I don't know. I find that much more liberating when it comes to planning.
my father used to say that this is the time when we start dreaming big for the summer.
Yes.
And y'all, it's the truth. Like, so dreaming doesn't mean, oh, I have to stick to my word. No, no, no. Dreaming is where you daydream, you let your mind wander, you figure out what is your heart's desire, and you see if you can find a path to your heart's desire. And that is what we would do at the beginning of every May. My father and I would. Pretty much from honestly, I can't remember not doing it actually with him. And it was, what do you want for the rest of this year? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to do? I mean, like, y'all, there's a reason he took me to so many private zoos that I did not know existed. So many personal tigers, essentially. And it was because I wanted to see animals. I wanted to pet animals. This was something that was I was big in as a little kid. Can you tell I was neurodivergent? And like, but this is the time period where I say I've always wanted to see a real life giraffe, Daddy. And he's like, "Well, we got to find a way to make that happen for you, baby." Like, but this is and like didn't mean that we made a plan and we said it. No, it's just more like we just talked. You chat like over a fire, over ice cream, over whatever, and you just dream together. But the things you dream in May have a funny way of actually coming to fruition without a lot of extenuous effort.
Yeah.
So this is my favorite time every year to dream big. You know? So go for it. Let your heart just explore. This is the magical time. Why does it work? I have no idea. I like nothing about me makes sense on paper.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I feel that. Uh,
right?
Same
So
with me.
I can't tell you for sure. I could just tell you that why is it this time of year every year the universe is like the holodeck is open. Start putting in your data. Like why? Why is it? I don't know, but I don't have to know that it doesn't hurt. They still haven't figured out how to text stream. It's great. And just let your heart soar. Especially after coming through winter and a tumultuous early spring, this is the time where you really can, if you wanted to, lay on some grass and let your mind wander, let your heart soar, and just feel it, and commune with the universe, and see if the universe is like, oh, I like that idea. Let's do that. That oh yeah, we'll get you giraffes this year, little girl. Like, and yes, I have petted a giraffe up close, normally forbidden at the zoo, and the zookeeper's like, come back here. And pet a giraffe, and I know exactly what it feels like, and it feels surprisingly like a cow. Like if you've ever a cowhide, the kind that people put
Mhm.
on rugs, or that's exactly what it feels like, but softer. It's so cool. And they like it and they like scritches. Okay. And that's weird when that suddenly comes down. It's like, oh, I like you. Scritch over here. Okay. That is freaking cool. But I would not know that if May was not for dreaming. So that's what I'm saying. It's not a planner of, oh, I'm going to, all the schedule.
Oh yeah, no.
No, no. It's the dreaming planner. It's the, come on, dream big, little girl. That kind of planner.
And today is all about abundance because our ancestors were planning for the harvest. They were making sure, okay, is everything set to take the cows up the hill so that they don't, so that they're in a cooler pasture for the
And the lusher grass
summer.
is
How's the
finally
water up
up
there? Do we
there.
have all the food that we need to get up there? What is, are the crops ready? Do we have the seeds ready? Did they survive the winter for us to do the planting? So they were planning their prosperity and their livelihood, and that's something that is really important for us to take that time to do, and really is a sacred act to do, to be thinking about what can I do to be a better blessing to myself and to the community that I'm a part of, and trying to figure out what it is that you can actually kind of work out and get going. And also finding any of those pain points. What are the things that aren't working that maybe you could do better, or that could use some fixing, or maybe even be let go. And remember, those are decisions you don't have to make today. It's actually probably better if you don't make them today, but today's the day to list them out so that you can take a look at what you need to be paying attention to and starting to make those plans. It really does help out a lot.
What
Everything likes the switches.
Yes. What I really remember from my childhood around these bonfires is that is where the elders would sit around the bonfires and they would discuss the things that weren't working, and everyone was welcome to throw in ideas of what would be needed to make it work or what would be needed to solve the problem. Whatever the problem is, sometimes the problems are kind of odd. Like my neighbors, not my neighbors, but I remember this one elder said that their neighbors argue all the time, like all the time, and it upsets this person's kids. And so, then the bonfire discussed, well, what can be done? Can the marriage be improved, or does the marriage need to be resolved? What's it going to take for them not to have violent arguments where they're throwing literal pots and pans out of the house? Like weekly.
This is that time where I get to come on and argue from something from the ancient Irish culture that should be brought back. Marriages used to be contracted for a period of time,
Yes.
and then at mutual consent of both parties, renewed or let pass. That used to be a thing that happened
Amen.
back in the olden days. And I feel like in some ways, especially for some couples that just don't know how to let go, having to sit back on their anniversary and go, so are we doing this for another year? Like actually having to have that conversation might not be such
Yeah, I
a
think
bad thing to do.
in the Channel Islands, it's every 3 years. You renegotiate if the relationship is going to continue.
The beginning of reason, the beginning of, yeah, that's not a bad card for the month. Yeah, things. Yes, and what needs to be brought back, because remember we packed away a lot of things because winter was coming. A lot of things were put away because, well, with all of the weather, I'm seasonal affective disorder is going to make me not feel like getting around and doing stuff. Joints are not going to be making me feel like going out and doing stuff. It's cold and I don't like cold, so I'm not going to go out of the house. All of those considerations that came in winter, we're heading into summer, because in the way we traditionally do the reckoning, today is the first day of summer. The summer solstice is midsummer,
Yeah.
which makes to me
Hence
so much more sense.
midsummer's nights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
midsummer night's dream.
Thank you.
And so thinking about those things, that what did you let go? What did you let pass that you need to bring back in. I think because this is such a playful holiday, and when I
Mhm.
say a playful holiday, even in the olden times, which we always kind of project backwards of like things were so much more stodgy and conservative in olden times. In olden times, up to the 1920s and 30s in Ireland, it was not uncommon for people to swap gendered clothing, to wear
Mm,
swap gendered clothing
good
on the
times.
altar. Like
We do love a drag king,
the boys dressed as girls and the girls dressed as boys, and it was
right?
chaos everywhere. And
Oh, there was a lot of giggling.
a lot of giggling.
Just saying.
So
Um,
this is that time to shake things up and bring that sense of play back in. I
yes.
really think about that a lot, especially at Beltane. Whereas for Samhain, we're starting to get more serious. The dark times are coming. The winter is coming. Are we going to
Yeah,
be
winter is coming.
warm?
Are you ready? But this is
This
summer
is
is coming.
yeah.
Are you ready to play? Are you ready for the good times? Okay. Because we've made it through the hunger gap. The hunger gap is traditionally in late February and early March.
Yep.
We've made it through the hunger gap. There's enough adequate food now from the early garden, and also foraging has begun. So now it is time for good times. The chickens are all laying eggs, trust me. And so, like, there's food, there's enough for everybody. The baby will not go hungry. So now it is time to frolic. Are you frolicking? Have you given space in your life for frolic these days?
Is having that, not letting go of that childhood, that childish glee, I think is something that we really need to work on. Industrialization really kind of pushed this idea that being an adult is being serious and stern and not doing the play anymore. No, that's a childish thing to do. And I hate that phrase. That's a childish thing to do because it's usually, oh no, that's too fun. Adults don't do that.
They
No,
live
no,
very sad, depressing lives.
right? And we've all met these
Hi,
people.
welcome to the Industrial Revolution and Depressed Lives.
And we've all met these people. Like we were probably raised with these people that got rid of that sense of play and joy from their life. And today is a great day to just ask yourself, what can you do to bring some of that joy back? What can you do to bring some of that play back?
I mean, have you ever wanted to pet a giraffe? Yeah. But surely everybody, when they were young, had those kind of thoughts, right? Of just the thing that doesn't seem like it'd be forbidden, but somehow seems out of reach. Those kind of dreams. Yeah, this is time to like kind of open that box back up and go, what are the things that if we could do anything, we would do this? Okay. Maybe it's not go to the moon this year, but perhaps it is like wanting to always have seen a wombat in real life, or to have finally learned how to play guitar. Well, in order to play guitar, you got to make a guitar. Um,
You got to get that instrument in.
right? Of just what are the things that just seem like, well, that's for other people, not for me, because I was told that was out of reach. Okay. Well, maybe it used to be, but does it still have to be? Well, we don't know. We have to dream.
And also, when you're thinking about your dreams, again, I think this goes into the whole problem that we had from the mechanization and the industrialization, the commercialization of everything. You don't have to be good at it. You have to be good enough to be happy at it. Like I play piano. Will you ever see me play piano? Will I ever have a here's Charlie playing keyboard stream? No. No, you will never see this. I do not do this in front of other people. Even when my husband is home and I'm playing the piano, I put my headphones on and plug them into my keyboard because I am not great at it. I I I have moments where my brain kind of freezes and it takes me a second. My rhythm isn't always the best. I'm not the greatest keyboard player in the world. I'm not even a good keyboard player, but I love it. I love doing it and I take the time to do it because you don't have to be good. You don't have to be great. This is if it's not something you're doing for your livelihood, it doesn't matter the quality of what you're doing as long as it's not hurting you. Like you have to be a certain quality of good for cooking just because you don't need to be food poisoning yourself all the time.
Amen.
But
Okay, food poisoning is not fun.
But beyond that, like, you don't have to be a master chef. You don't have to make these
You
elaborate.
don't have to be amazing at plating your food. Oh, who cares? You don't have to know how to turn radishes into flowers. Who cares? Okay? Like, it's cool if you want to do it, but you don't have to be good. I just picked up sock darning as a hobby. And let me tell you, I'm wearing the first 2 socks I've darned today. I just put them on. They look like they are, in fact, the first 2 socks I've ever darned. Okay? Does that mean I'm not wearing? No, they're literally on my feet. Yeah. And they feel great. It was great not having a toe poke through a hole while I was trying to put the sock on. Ooh, what a concept. These socks are literally older than Kat, by the way. Kat, you missed this conversation backstage earlier. But yes, Tom found me more socks. These socks, Kat, have been on the earth longer than you. And they're going to get visibly mended because, hey, can you see? But they're so comfy. They're so soft.
It's like a through and through hole,
right? Like, yeah, yes, because it's the weak spot. But I love these socks. These socks have been with me since the early 90s. I love these socks. They're so comfortable. As Tom pointed out, these factories do not exist in the world anymore to make these socks. And it brings me joy. Yes, I'm not going to show you my sock darning. It's terrible. It's genuinely bad. But it got it done, and it's comfy. It's soft. I found this fabric. I don't even like orange, but it was the only one I could find to use because it's cotton, and it works great. I'm not mad. I'm having a wonderful time.
This comment from Laura just got me thinking of, like, one of the least quoted things that Jesus ever said was, "Allow the children to come to me, because unless you have faith as simple as this child, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven." And this gets taken so far out of context. It's that glee. It's not that you don't question. Kids question a lot. Have you ever met a kid?
Oh my
Kids
God.
question everything.
Why?
But it's that childish glee.
Why? What's that?
Yeah.
Why? Then you explain it and they go, but why? Like,
when you enter that divine realm that's being talked about there, it is that place of joy and peace and excitement. And if you forgot what that is like, just drive by a city park when there are kids playing in it, and you'll hear it. You don't even have to look. You can just look away. You can hear what glee sounds like. You can hear
the squeals of glee. And all they're doing is running around chasing each other, making up games on the spot. There's no plan. There's just joy.
And that brings me to the next topic. And this is that we've been kind of talking about. This is a festival of abundance. And glee is one of those things that we should have abundantly. We should have that joy in abundance. And it can be hard sometimes. That's why you have to figure out, where do you find it? You know, one of my favorite stories about Jung, because I have mixed feelings about Jung, but in his later life, he was trying to figure out how you could actually have joy in life. And he remembered that he loved moving rocks around when he was a child. So he bought a plot of land and just pushed rocks around and found so much joy, because this is what he loved doing as a kid. And he reconnected to this childish glee that he had in himself. I think it's one of the greatest lessons you can learn from Jung, to be quite honest.
Actually, yeah.
Reconnect to that childish glee and find this fulfillment in your life that you may have lost. Like, it's Star Wars month. We're getting a lot of stuff in here. And so my husband and I have decided to do the insane Star Wars marathon. So we're watching all of Star Wars, including the TV shows, in timeline chronological order. So we're watching all of it over this month. Like, that's what we're doing. When I'm not doing stuff like this, when we're not working, there is Star Wars on the TV. And it's just wall-to-wall Star Wars all the time. But it's something that he loved as a child. It's something that I loved as a child. It's something that I still love as an adult. And it brings just that joy and that just happiness in, because it's just there. It's just, we've made it a part of our practice this month. We're just reconnecting to it and really just having that deep dive. And it's so much fun because, one, there's no bickering over what's over on the TV. We know it's on the TV. It's the next episode of the Star Wars thing that we're watching, you know?
Do you not love it? Do you not love going down a slide or something going, wee?
I miss
I
the
do not
simple
know
joy of
the
being on the
last time I went on a
swings.
I don't know the last time I was on a slide.
Slides and I have never gotten along well. The apartment complex that I lived in as a child that had a swing set, a slide there. I don't know what material this was made out of. It was metal and shiny, but I feel like it had little demon hands in it. No one ever used this slide because you would go like maybe an inch or two down and stop. We tried everything. All the fathers in the neighborhood came out
Like
and greased
lubricants.
this.
Everyone brought a lubricant.
Oh yeah, tried to grease this thing up so that the kids could slide, and you go like an inch and stop, and then just kind of scoot your butt the rest of the way down because it just would not let you slide. So I don't have the funnest memories of slides, but we had a huge swing set there and a really nice set of climbing bars, and oh, just the joy of the swings, like who can get the highest, just back and forth, just you're in that race, and it's a pointless race.
Yep.
Physics is going to kick in at a certain point. There's only so high you can go. Like there's, it's just, but it doesn't. That didn't matter at the time, and it doesn't matter now. It was just the fun, the glee of just going back and forth and just being in that moment.
In my childhood, the local zoo had what turned out to be one of the last remaining wooden roller coasters in the world. That's right, we don't get rid of stuff here. And it was it barely qualified as a roller coaster, y'all. But there was this one spot where you would go down and it was like, I don't know, it probably was only a 25-degree angle. Like it wasn't, it was hard. It was a gentle wooden slope. But still, every time my father would be like, you ready? You ready? It's coming. And that's all the wee you're going to get out of that roller coaster, y'all. It barely qualified as a roller coaster. I think it was built in like 1890s and it was still functioning in the 1990s, but it looked like you were about to plummet to your death. And that was why, like, I always like my father is the only person I would get in that roller coaster with because the roller coaster seats were so small that I felt squished in with him. So I felt like surely I can't fall out, and that is how treacherous they felt. But yes, it was like he's like, get ready, this is it. And that's what I think about is the genteel wee in the world's smallest, most pathetic wooden roller coaster still operating in North America. Probably. Who knows?
This is actually a wonderful segue to the next thing. This is a time for protection. To put up your protections, to figure out what you're doing to be safe. Check the locks on your houses. This sounds like a silly thing to do, but people don't do this. And to all the youngins out there, I know they say locks have gotten better. Don't trust your locks. We've had several houses that over the years, the lock got worn down so that if you pushed hard on the doorknob, it would unlock the door. The door would just unlock.
I've had house locks where it would get cold outside, like so cold we'd have an ice storm, and the ice would unlock the
Yep.
bolt. Not the door handle, the flippin' bolt. Do not trust locks. Always go back and check. Like, this is a good use for OCD. I said it. I know what I said too. Okay, but this is like, look, I mean, like, not too much OCD, but like, if you just have a touch of the tism, a touch of the OCD, like, just give in to the desire every night to check the locks. Just do it. You'll feel better knowing you did due diligence because locks will unlock themselves. In fact, I've actually found during various tornadoes and hurricanes here in Mississippi, the locks will unlock themselves because of the pressure change. The sudden pressure change will flip locks. Y'all, this universe is weird.
Rattle your doors, check and make sure everything is good. check your fire alarms. Check your carbon monoxide detector because ours wasn't working, and we had a gas leak last month. Which luckily the smell let us know. But check everything because we're here for physical protection as well as some of the more oogie boogie protections. You can see on the background behind us all these yellow flowers. Yellow flowers are traditionally used for protecting and warding your house. Yellow wildflowers. So it doesn't matter. You got marigolds in your yard? Pick them. You got dandelions? Pick them. Just pick some yellow flowers. Scatter them in front of your doors, just to let the things, all the oogie boogies in the area know. No, you're not coming to my house. You're not coming to my house. It's a very good thing to do. And even if you're not into the whole mystical spiritual side of things, there's something about standing in front of your house, casting these flowers down, and saying, "This is my house. We will be safe here." That kind of act of affirmation is really helpful. This is the only house I've ever lived in where we had a home invasion robbery. Somebody in the dead of the morning many years ago kicked our front door in. And fortunately, our dog has a very loud bark and a very deep bark. And
he does. Very impressive.
They heard the dog barking and ran. So luckily, like, everything was fine, but they still kicked the door off the hinges.
Like she's part Rottweiler in her voice, just her throat.
Yeah, it's very deep.
Like, yeah, it's like, "Oh, ma'am, what's a deep and powerful voice you have, though?"
But
so she's a very tasty dog, huge voice.
We had to replace the door and all that. But there's something about having that affirmation of, this is my house. Only those that I say can come in here can come in here. Only that which I want to enter here will enter here. Only prosperity, health, and blessings shall pass this threshold. Just saying that to yourself, it's empowering, whether you believe in any of the Oogie Boogies or not.
While we're on the subject, I would like to just a friendly little reminder that this. Do you have a welcome mat outside? Do you realize who you're inviting in?
I absolutely hate welcome mats.
Like, you can have a mat outside your door, but it doesn't need to say welcome. Okay, because not everyone should be welcome. You know what? It's folklore, people. Okay, do not invite the pukas in.
No.
Okay, you don't need that kind of chaos in your life. Like, you can have one of those mats outside to get all the mud off your shoes, but if it says welcome, it is time to bring that in and put something else outside.
And again, this is a time not to do offerings right now. We don't do offerings right now. For the next couple of days, just back off on that. But even when we take the offerings out to the Denishi, we're very clear. You may come here and partake in this offering, but you will not enter the home. You will not come into the house. The house is off limits. You're very, very clear, because I want to have good relations and live in right relationship with the spirits of the land around here. I want to have that right relationship. But that part of right relationship is boundaries and borders. I know what parts of the property out here are theirs, and I would never go into them. I remember them when I was a kid, just being out riding horses with my grandfather when he still ran the farm out here, and coming upon a spot. And even he, who was the least spiritual man that I've ever met in my life, would go, no, we don't go over there. We don't go over there. And that's the land for them. That's where they are. That's the place that stays wild, and we don't touch it. So having those clear delineations are important when you're setting your house up. This is your home. You should make it feel as comfortable and as safe as you can. And whether that's getting yourself some nice blankets so that you have something to keep yourself warm and cozy. I think a really nice thin fleece blanket is a nice thing when you just need coziness but not warmth. Mm-hmm. Like those really thin ones that they have now that are like, they do absolutely nothing to help warm you up, but they just feel so nice and cozy. because coziness is hominess, and we need to be bringing more of that into our lives. And that's part of protecting your home. Yeah.
I'm just saying, Jenna.
Yeah,
This whole welcome mats, look, put a mat outside. You can have it say anything but not welcome, not come on in, okay? Because do you really want to invite all the spirits in uncensored? Okay? No, you don't. Trust me. We have plenty of cryptids in North America. You don't want to invite a bunch of those in, okay? Like, just ask any indigenous folk. They will tell you about the nightmare fuel living in your area. And I'm just saying, like, I don't understand this, like, post World War II, everyone's welcome. No, everyone is not welcome. Some people are malevolent.
yes.
Enter at your own risk.
Right? Like, dragons are here. Okay? Warned. You've been warned. Okay? Beware of dragons. You can have your mat say that.
You shall not pass. Yes.
But, like, I just needed to put out that little PSA because I'm like, well, it's the 21st century and people are still being foolish.
Because just remember, in the basic fairy lore, because most of the creatures of the other world we kind of talk about as the fairies. Remember, there are two kinds of fairies. There's the trooped and untrooped fairies. There's not good and bad fairies. There's the trooped and the untrooped. Now, the difference between them is the untrooped have been kicked out of every group that they've tried to be a part of. So they're not necessarily evil, but they're probably jerks.
That's the nicest way to say that on a live stream. I think that's the most genteel way to put that.
And that's where, that's where people get lost in this, is they think that you're talking about, well, we're warding off from the evil spirits, or we're warding off from for evil.
Lettuce, don't be
Yeah. It's like, you don't want to, if they're the ones that are out there looking for a place to live, the Sidhe, the Denishidhe, the Aishidhe, they have their homes. They know where they're living in your terrain. And you kind of know it too. There's that place that you get into and you just feel like this is an important place. This is a sacred place. This is that spot that you go to and giggle for no reason. You just suddenly feel, we've all found those places, right? They have their homes. The ones that don't are the troublemakers. I love how the cat shows up right on the word troublemaker.
Yeah. Okay. That is my agent of mayhem. See that tail? Oh yeah. Oh, she's literally looking out the window to see who's out there, who's causing trouble.
Yes. Do not whistle at night. That's a big one around here, especially because the blue man will whistle back. And if the blue man whistles back, you're not going to have a good night.
I'm going to start calling people a wilted leaf as an insult now. Thanks, Laura.
I like that. Yeah, it can be a real problem when we're just letting everything and anything in. So, like I said, the flowers are an easy ward to do because they don't require a lot of know-how. You don't have to craft anything. There's none of that involved. Just like I said, if you see dandelions in your front yard, just pick the yellow flowers and just put them out on your doors. It's a simple ward, but it is an effective ward.
Yep.
And that was also a time to be collecting that dawn sun and some water outside to be using for blessing your homes. And of course, it is a fire festival. So if you're in a place where fire can be used safely, smokeless fire, we'll talk about that in a second. So that's one of my favorite old school traditions there. Yeah, don't give anyone your smoke. A smokeless fire. And if you can't use fire, you don't feel comfortable carrying around fire, it's the light that's important. So get yourself an electric candle. They make some really nice LED candles. I actually lit an LED candle because we don't do offerings in this time of year. So I lit it before Beltane, and it's going to be going through the entire time. I make really nice candles that you can use, but just kind of walk it around, always in a clockwise manner. Just do the toros. Just do your walk around 3 times and just Think to yourself, this is mine, it is protected. This is mine, it is protected. If there are any guides, guardians, or gods that you work with, you can invoke them too. That's fine. That's fine. But you need to state, this is my property. This is my place. And if you just have an apartment, just walk from your front door, start at your front door, and just walk the perimeter of the inside of your house. You could do your entire apartment building if you wanted to.
Yeah, my father every May used to do the entire apartment building plus the adjacent park because his reasoning was us kids always played in the park. I mean, literally, you could see the park out of our apartment windows. So he would do the whole complex building perimeter and include the park in there, and while saying protection prayers. And you can say any protection prayers. You can say the protection prayers you grew up with as a child. You could say the ones that are meaningful to you now. But every May, like clockwork, he would do it. And Mom would be like, why? He's like, it's just time of year. Don't bother me about it. And because some things you just can't logically explain. But you know what? The one year he didn't do it, y'all, the hell that broke loose in our lives that summer, it was insane. Insane. So, again, he never forgot again to do it. He never listened to the logic, and just every year. And I would remind him, Daddy, it's May. Are you going to do the thing? And he's like, yeah, do it with me so that now you know how to do it in case I'm not here. Because he was so sure he wasn't going to live.
And what Glory's saying here is the secret to all spiritual practices. Don't do it because I told you to, or Glory told you to, or anyone else tells you, here's the thing to do. Faith, real faith, not this fake stuff that people tell you about because they want you to obey them. Real faith is, I have tested this and trust it. I have done the thing. I found a result from the thing, so I'm going to keep doing the thing. And that can vary from person to person. There are some practices I might do that will not work for anyone else. There are some practices that Glory might do that might not work for me or anyone else. It can be a very personal relationship that you're building.
Figure it out for you.
But that's what real faith is, and where people get confused because they believe that faith is this very Kierkegaardian jump where you have the leap of faith. And by the way, that gets taken so out of context. Just
Right.
the leap of faith is how you escape nihilism. You go, well, everything's pointless, so I might as well believe in something. Whee!
Yes. Yes.
It's so you don't get mired in nihilism. That's what Kierkegaard is talking about.
Exactly. That's you just most beautifully. I love that. Let's make a clip of it because that is exactly it. It is the leap from nihilism of well, if nothing matters, then I'm going to do a thing that brings me some level of comfort, and possibly it may work, it may not, but why not? Why not? It's not hurting anyone. And even when my parents were separated, and my father would call, Glory, you going to do the thing? And I'm like, I don't want to do the thing in May. And Mom was even like, are you going to do this? Are you going to do this circumambulating prayers? And I'm like, why don't you do it? She's like, because it won't work if I do it because I don't believe it, but I know it works, so do it. Again, there is no logic. And I'm like, I don't want to do it alone. So my mother forced my siblings to do it with me. Go do it. Go do it with your sister. So I did one leg, and each sibling took a round. And you know what? It still worked that year.
We're tired. Okay, we'll split it up.
Right? Yeah. I mean, honestly, my parents' divorce was so emotionally exhausting.
But that's the thing. You just test things out. That's really the great joy of being on the spiritual path, is figuring out what works. You're just putting things in your basket, trying it out. If it doesn't work, put it back down. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work for everyone. That's where people get so messed up in their head about spirituality, is they think that we're looking for universal guiding truth. Have you seen this universe? There's no universal truth between the quantum realm and the larger material world. Do you think there's going to be one size fits all answer for anything? Like, that's just how this universe works. There are rules that work in various situations. And so you need to find out what works for you. So when I talk about spreading the flowers, if that doesn't work for you, try out some other techniques. But to me, all of this is for that twofold blessing. One, it's going to be very good for you mentally to just state in that affirmative, this is mine. And this goes into the other thing that is good to do today: clean your altars and set up new ones if you need one. So we're setting up a new abundance altar in the house today. That's one of the things that we are doing, because our lives kind of fell apart last year, and we are looking for some prosperity and abundance to come into our life. So we're going to be setting up an abundance altar this year. What are we doing on that abundance altar, you ask? Good question. We're going to test out a bunch of things. We have been collecting ideas of things that we can do to put there and to try it out and to see, and we'll continue doing what's going to be working. I know one thing that is going to be on there is our Ganesh. Our Ganesh is going to be there. He's not getting any rum today because don't do offerings on Beltane. But when Beltane is over, he will be getting some rum, because Lord Ganesh has always looked out for us ever since I made a bad joke at his expense and he fixed my computer. So he's
yes, I too appreciate Lord Ganesh, the remover of difficulties.
He is the only Hindu god that has
Really,
made it into
yeah,
my house.
he's the only Hindu god that works for me too. But Lord Ganesh, he is there when no one else is there for me. He got me, honestly, y'all. He got me. He's the one who got me graduated with honors from college. Trust me, no one else was going to get this. Okay, but Lord Ganesh, I had a friend who was studying religion. Like, that was literally his degree program, was world religions. Huh? Comparative world religions. And I'm like, look, I'm desperate. I'm about to fail out of college. Are there any gods that would help? And he's like, there's Lord Ganesh, the remover of difficulties. And I'm like, do whatever you have to for me, okay? Because he owed me a favor. And so he's like, well, I have to go to a crossroads, so I'll do it at my street corner. Y'all, he made an altar on the sidewalk at a street corner in South Mississippi with like all these candles. Like he found a bunch of what is that Hispanic kind of question, what is it,
Santeria?
the Santeria candles. Why did he have the collection? Don't ask, we don't need to know. He lit like 8 Santeria candles. And he went and bought one Lord Ganesh candle from the local store, and he made an altar, and he put some coins and some other treats, some dried fruit and things, as his textbook instructed, and he left them lit for me for 3 dang days. And here's the crazy part: this is a busy town of more than 50,000 people in a very kind of superstitious Southern Baptist city, and no one touched or bothered Lord Ganesh's impromptu altar on a street corner in a busy street for the whole weekend. No one bothered it. No one put out the candles, because Simon goes back on Sunday before my Monday finals start, and he's like, Glory, the candles were still lit. If anything, I think people put some coins and stuff there. Like, random people were putting coins and treats. He's like, there's a candy bar I know I definitely did not leave there. And he's like, so look, if it's going to work, you're going to ace this exam. Trust me, because the altar has acquired its own extra offerings. Y'all, I would have been lucky to get a C. I was supposed to, according to my score, get a B, but then the teacher was like, I know you've been working so hard, you've been studying so hard, because I did show the teacher all my flashcards before the exam, and they bumped me to an A-.
Oh, yeah.
So Lord Ganesh works.
I I discovered the power of Lord Ganesh when Windows Vista came out because my computer died. I needed to get a new one. It was supposed to have XP on it. The box said it had XP on it. Booted it up and it was Vista.
Ooh.
And they had locked the BIOS, and I could not get anything else to install on this machine. And when Vista crashed, like you would not believe. And so I emailed an animated desktop that I found online of Lord Ganesh, and it had his mantra moving in a circle around him. So the mantra would always be said. I was like, I don't know. I've tried everything other than taking a sledgehammer to this machine. I'm going to set this as the desktop. Last ditch effort. Let's see what happens. And I did, and that computer lasted for 10 years.
Amen.
And never crashed again. And I was like, okay. And I have such a strong connection to Ganesh. My in-laws went to India and bought me Ganesh stuff from India. I have random people just go, oh, I saw this statue and thought of you.
Right.
I have a small collection of Ganesh stuff. And I don't talk about him that much. This is probably the first time on here that you've ever heard me talk about him. But people just know, like, oh, I see this little elephant guy. Let me get this for Charlie.
Right. Yeah. Like my friends have slowly over the years been giving me like, oh, I saw this blue elephant thing here. Do you want it? And like, sure. And see this, they start seeing this collection growing of blue elephant and Lord Ganesh imagery and statues, like little things. And they're like, oh, are you into blue elephants? Sure. Whatever. Like, and I mean, if some people I'll actually explain, Lord Ganesh essentially got me to graduate with honors from my bachelor degree, which really, this was before I was on ADD meds. So it was a true miracle, and Lord Ganesh owes all the credit. Like with honors, it's not easy when you we're at a 2.8 GPA at one point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so a few people know, and whenever they happen to see Lord Ganesh imagery, they'll get it for me. But other people just think I'm really into blue elephants. But I don't ask for these. I never ask, if you happen to see any Lord Ganesh paraphernalia or little statuettes or anything to give. They just, I saw this little guy and he just looked so cool and I thought of you. And I'm like, thank you, Lord Ganesh. I see you're still looking out for me. Because Lord Ganesh is known as the remover of difficulties, y'all.
And once I get our prosperity altar set up, I'll take pictures and put them on Instagram on the Creations Past account, so y'all can see what we're gonna do. But that's the thing. It is about this testing. It's that trying and see what your relationship is. I don't know. Maybe your ancestors offended the Hindu gods, and like somebody I know, and they're not going to be as nice and kind in answering your things. Maybe you should try one of the others. Maybe you should call out to Oma or Lou or some of the others. There are a lot of options out there. It's about finding what works for you.
Yes.
In all of this, it's about finding what works for you. And it's about testing it.
My family has zero interactions with Hindu gods. There's no historical. We've checked the DNA. No idea. But you know what? If it works, it works. And you don't have to know why. You just know, hey, this god from this total other pantheon or belief system happened. I really felt like a strong connection, or I felt something work. So I'm going to stick with it, because you don't have to know why. Why are humans obsessed with knowing why? Humans are obsessed, and if they can't figure out why, they'll make up a reason. And I'm here to say it's perfectly fine to sit in this place of, like, that's a very valid, I don't know, but it works, so we do the thing. Do I occasionally leave out saltines and milk for the spirits, the little brownies and so on in my house, especially who love to live under my beds and in the back of the closets? Yes. You know why? Because it feels right. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
Would they accept Takis and milk? Because apparently my nieces have decided that Takis should be eaten with milk.
Is that because it's so hot? They need their stomach lined with.
I don't know. They'll just eat Takis though, but sometimes they're like, I want milk.
I mean, like,
I would say play around with it.
He was on an Oreo once. Don't ask questions.
Right? Yeah. Like, look, if you find something that works, don't ask why, because you don't want to remove the magic. Okay. Sometimes things work best when you don't know why, but you know it works. And so you just honor the truth you found and you let it exist because we live in a universe, a holographic universe of possibility rather than probability.
Yeah.
Okay. So at a certain point, don't mess up the holodeck. Just go with it. And I know some people absolutely hate that. Just go with it. But y'all, if you've ever been in multiple life and death situations in a very short time period, and yet you live to tell the tales, just go with it. Yeah. You know what? Do you know what I tell people when they're like, our crops are really failing and we need it to rain? So if you got anything, and I'm like, I'll tell you what I know makes it rain, but it's not, it doesn't make sense. And you need to just do it. And they're like, okay, when farmers get desperate, people send them to me. And I'm going to tell you what I tell people if you desperately need it to rain. You need a pickup truck and a mattress. And you just need to put the mattress in the back of the pickup truck and just drive around wherever you want it to rain until it rains. Okay? So yes, one time people actually had to refill the truck with gasoline. But you know what? It rained by the end of the day and there was no forecast of rain. So why does it work? I don't know. Even Douglas Adams had theories about a rain god being angered by uncovered mattresses. Also, you can use a sofa, an uncovered sofa, in a pinch. It doesn't work quite as well, but like we're literally talking, it still almost always works. And it will always rain. And that is why it rains at the ends of the months, because people move and there's always somebody who doesn't cover their mattress or their sofa when they're moving from one apartment to the next.
And when I say check and see if it works, sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes the changes are subtle. Sometimes they are so obvious. Like we make a ginger tea every day in the house. And I got the thought one day of, why don't we offer a small glass of the ginger tea to the house spirits? Why don't we just make that part of our day? Well, the first pour from the ginger tea goes to them. We take it and we put it on the altar that we have set up for them. And just say a little thank you for being in the house. This is for you. And we put a little bit of milk in it because we found that they like it better with milk in it. But we were having a bug invasion of this house, y'all. And we started doing that and the bugs stopped. Like we still have some ants in the house, but like there's so many bugs we're getting into the house. And it's that time of year where the bugs get into the house.
Yep.
And so can I conclusively, scientifically document that the house spirits are keeping the bugs out of the house? No, I cannot set up a double-blind science experiment to prove to you that, that's what's going on or not. But I can see from my actions, we started doing this daily offering, the bugs went away. Like, there were giant spiders getting into the house. I mean, all manner of buggy boos were getting into the house. And so we just started making this offering every day, and it was obvious that the bugs stopped getting it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. You have to look for the signs. Sometimes they're really obvious. Sometimes they're more subtle, but sometimes they are just so like the earth is shaking. You're like, can I have a sign? Like, dude, the earth is shaking. Like you got your sign. And again, there's nothing wrong with you if the thing doesn't work. Try something else, because it's about finding what works. Anytime we're dealing with the spirits, it is about a relationship, and the spirits that we have in our house really like ginger tea with a little bit of milk in it. They love it. Like you can feel the atmosphere in the house change. We had company one day when Brian brought the glass out, and even he remarked about, wow, it feels so much lighter in here. Like he didn't know what was going on. We didn't explain to him what was going on. He could just feel the atmosphere in the house just change because we brought a little cup of tea over to an altar. You will know if what you are doing is having an effect.
Yeah, you'll feel it. Or if you're like my mother and you're not the kind of person who can feel it, surely there's someone near you, a child maybe, who could tell you, because that's what she did. She just depended on her own children. She couldn't tell. I don't know why. I have theories, but I don't know why she couldn't feel things. But she trusted her children's intuition, and that's all she needed. So we were like her little divining rods, y'all.
So,
but do whatever you got to do.
So since today is a good day for setting up altars and it's a day of abundance, I recommend if you don't have an abundance and prosperity altar in your house, today is the day you make one. Do it today. It can be very simple. Just
Well,
set
you
up.
got 3 days. You got time. Maybe you need to go to the store to get supplies. Meh.
Set aside a little spot. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need a special table. You can put it on the corner of your desk. Just set
You
it
put it on your bookshelf, a little spot where the books are kind of short, not
and
wide.
ask yourself what symbolizes prosperity to you. So, like, Brian has a big collection of Sacagawea coins, and so we're going to put those on the altar because gold coins, right? You see them and you see gold coins. Gold coins make me think of wealth and treasure and prosperity. So we're putting those on the altar because that, to me, I see that and my mind goes to prosperity and wealth. And that's the question for you. It's not you go out and get yourself some Sacagawea coins. That's not the prescription here. It's asking yourself, what does prosperity mean to you?
Now, down here, we use Mardi Gras coins.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. But, like, yeah, toy coins. Whatever feels right, okay? You figure out what feels right or looks right. Because some people, again, like are my mother, and the intuition is a little wonky of what looks like abundance. Maybe it's a tiny little like child's toy teacup overflowing with like jelly beans. Okay. Like it, but it looks right, and that is all that flippin' matters. Is it just needs to look right / feel right, and it can be the world's tiniest little altar. People could think that you're doing a diorama. I have lied and told people when I was in my 20s and easily embarrassed of, oh, I'm working on a diorama, don't touch it. It worked, but they did not touch it. And they did not make fun of me. But like, just it looks right, it feels right, and then you don't have to do anything. You figure out, or ask a child what would look right or feel right. What would do you know what abundance is? Do you know what having more than enough, having enough to be able to share? What does that look like to you if you were to make a little altar to look like I have more than enough to share? What would that be to you? Just ask a child. If you really are somebody who is struggling with the thought, the intuition, or the creativity, then you could just ask someone else. Because again, remember, early May is about dreaming. Yep. So you can ask other people, what would it look like to you?
And I have some friends who bullet journal, and part of their abundance altar is there's a spot on there that the last thing they do at the end of the day is they put their bullet journal on their altar when they're done at the end of the day. And when they start their day, they go in and they have a moment of mindfulness in front of it where they think about what their goals and ambitions and hopes are. And then they pick their bullet journal up and start their workday. And then at the end of the workday, it goes back to the altar. And that is both a good magical practice to do if you're somebody who bullet journals, but also it's a good psychological practice because here I have this physical object that is my workday. I am done with my workday.
Mm-hmm.
It's in its place. Now I can go play, and now it's time to start my workday. I pick up my work and start it. So psychologically and spiritually, it is a very good practice to do if you're somebody who does bullet journaling. I have another friend who's working on her YouTube channel right now and bought herself a book that came highly recommended on how to get her text right and her graphics right and coming up with ideas for videos and such. And she put that goes on her altar when she's not reading it because that's part of the prosperity she's working towards. Her channel's getting pretty big. She's starting to make some money off of it. She would like it to grow more. So that book, when she's not reading it, stays on her prosperity altar because it is part of the prosperity that she is aiming for. Because your goals are going to be different from mine, Glory's, Kat's, anybody that's on screen. Your goals are going to be different than ours. So what you put on there will change. It could be a pen. If you're writing a book and you want that book to do well, maybe there's a special pen that you want to put on there to signify that your writing will prosper. Maybe one of your own books should go on there. Don't feel vain putting your own stuff on these altars. You're not worshiping your own book. You're putting it there to say, this is one of the things that I want to prosper.
Mm-hmm.
So it's asking yourself, what is it that you connect with? What to you says prosperity? That could be candles. That could be a statue or an image that really resonates and means something to you. It could be the silliest thing, that there's a toy that you've had since you were a child that when you got it, you felt like the most specialest, greatest person, and you couldn't believe that you got it. Maybe that should go on there. It's because it's what means what do you connect to that is prosperity?
It's headology.
Yeah.
If you know about Terry Pratchett, then you probably know about headology. But again, it's like, it's essentially a practice where you're circumventing the logic in your own mind and in other people's mind.
Yep.
Because it works. So how do you get yourself and other people to do the thing that works, and not get hung up on, well, why and what is happening, and is this the process? No. You know, that essentially the witches in Terry Pratchett's Discworld are actually practicing headology for the most part, which is not necessarily totally actual magic, but it is magic.
I know some people that consider coffee part of their work day. And so when they pour their coffee, they first an offering, and remember, no offerings on the 3 days of Beltane, but anything you're doing as an offering should be the first pour. The first fruits is what you give, not the second, not the third, the first. So the first pour of the coffee goes into the cup that goes onto the altar. The second cup goes for you. And I have friends that's what they do, because that's associated to work in their mind. And that's, really investigating, building your own kind of personal mythos, your personal correlations. I think, and I don't blame Wicca for this, I blame a lot of the grifters that came into the magical book market with the popularity of Wicca and a lot of the neo-pagan stuff now, that there are all of these tables of correspondence. And some of that comes from folklore, and that's between you and your connection to that tradition. I do a lot of very Irish stuff because I have a very strong connection to Irish traditions. So, like the yellow flowers for wildflowers, for example, that's something from the Irish tradition. It's something that I resonate very strongly with. So that's what I do. It's not that yellow flowers are special. It's that a lot of the first flowers that come out are yellow. That there's no like the actual honest to God reason why do you do yellow flowers. Almost all of the first flowers that pop up are going to be either yellow or white, right? The really pretty red flowers and stuff, those come later in the summer. Yeah. So that's why it's a yellow flower.
I was working on some stuff today, kind of pulling what I've learned growing up Catholic. So May is also the month to honor Mary. And yes. So I've got my little Madonna figure, and I got these from the dollar store, but lilies.
Yes. This is Mary's month. Mary is very good for taking care of all of us. Last night, when I was kind of having an anxiety spiral, I found myself just chanting, because I'm old school Catholic back when I was practicing, and our priest still taught us a lot of our prayers in Latin. So I would just sat there, Mater Misericordia, Mater Misericordia, Mater Misericordia, Mother of Mercy, just chanting that over and over and over again. And because I've done this for peace so much, like all mantras, because this is the secret of how mantras work, the words aren't magic, the practice is. Mm-hmm. But because I do this so much over the years, the relaxation came, that peace came. So I just sat there last night, just Mater Misericordia, Mater Misericordia, Mater Misericordia, Mother of Mercy, just over and over and over again. And it doesn't matter, again, Latin, English, Gaelga, I almost said Hebrew, but there are a lot of rules there, so sometimes Hebrew is important. But the Latin doesn't matter. The Gaelga really doesn't matter. It's nice if you know it. If you connect to it, if it's meaningful to you, use it. But beyond that, whatever brings you that peace, that's what you're looking for. If only every mother would be half. Yeah. I have a very strong devotion to the Blessed Mother, I always refer to her as the Blessed Mother because I'm sorry, she had other children. I'm sorry. I it's one of the places where I in the Catholic Church have our arguments. She had other kids, y'all. Like, and even if we say that all of the kids mentioned in the Bible came before Jesus, we're her children too. Sorry. Like, Mary, Queen of all hearts, will take care of you. She was my gateway drug into Catholicism. I was born and raised Baptist, and I'm not going to go through my entire story of how I got into the Catholic Church when I was younger, but suffice it to say, a Catholic aunt of mine gave me Saint Louis de Montfort's Secret of the Rosary, and Mary was my gateway drug into Catholicism and into everything else that has given my life meaning, because Mary listens. Mary will come for you whether you are Catholic or not. Rabbi Shapiro has a wonderful story in his book, Holy Rascals, of his own personal prayer encounters with Mary, and his why is this even happening? I'm Jewish, and in his dream, she looked at him and said, "So am I. We have work to do."
Amen.
I was gonna say.
Girl, me too. We got stuff to do. Let's get started.
Like, Mary will come for you. She is a very good mother, but if she has a goal and you can help her with it, she will show up. But for all the Catholics out there, and for those of you who aren't, the Sub Tuum Praesidium is one of the greatest prayers that you can always say when you're starting a prayer to Mary. Oh, Blessed Mother, we fly to your patronage. Never has it been known that anyone who has ever asked for relief from you has ever been turned away. It's an old prayer. It's a struggle not to say things in Latin. It is an old prayer, but it is that confidence because Mary does answer. Mary shows up. She's a goodie. And for those of you who, like me, are of the Irish persuasion, Mary and Bridget are like this. Like, you cannot convince me otherwise. Like, Mary and Bridget are like this. Like, they friends. They work well together and are good to invoke together. Because if you know the Irish tradition, Mary is the mother of Jesus. Bridget is the foster mother of Jesus. The goddess went back in time to help raise that kid when Mary was overwhelmed, according to the Irish versions of the story. And she was even there as the midwife in the Irish versions of the story. Bridget went back and was the midwife at the manger.
I was about to say, I thought she was the midwife, but because midwives are magic practitioners.
And she is the foster mother of Christ. If you actually look at any of the old prayers to Bridget, they almost always refer to her as the foster mother of Christ, and that she very much is. I clicked the wrong one. Nephthys, Bridget and Mary. Nephthys. I have a long relationship with a lot of Egyptian deities. I don't talk about them that much, but yeah, Nephthys is she's a good one. I often feel like if you are a fantasy or sci-fi writer, if you can develop a relationship with Ta is a very good spirit to have on your side. That's a whole other episode that we could do about gods, guides, and guardians that are good for writers. If y'all want to,
ooh, that would be so much fun.
Yeah, because
we should totally do it.
We should set that up and figure out a time for that, because there are a lot of them that are really good for that. But the Egyptian gods listen and will give they're on it. I'll say that they're on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's finding those things that matter, that mean something. And on that note, today I like to think is the Dagda's holiday. I always find it weird that Dagda doesn't have a holiday. And it's important to remember that because of colonialization, we have lost a lot of the stories and a lot of the lore. So it would only make sense that today that Beltane would be the Dagda's holiday, because his wife, Morgan, has Samhain, and this is the companion festival to Samhain. So as he goes to her on Samhain, it would make sense that she would come to him on Beltane. And so as she is queen of the dead. He is king and god of the living. Remember, we don't know his name. I don't know how much people know because people don't tell a lot of Irish stories. We don't know the Dagda's name. When the Dagda first shows up in the stories and is crowned king, he declares to himself, I will be the good god to them, and they will have abundance in their home, health in their lives, and prosperity in all of their actions. And so from that moment on, he is simply referred to as Andagda, the good god, which is a title he took onto himself. And
Like the Doctor, I'm fine. I'm totally fine, and I am not about to make a Doctor Who reference.
but and remember his three magical items that he has. He has the harp that can play the emotions of all who hear it. It can soothe all anger and take even the calmest heart and enrage it. So he has the harp that can play the emotions. He has the cudgel, the war stick, that if he hits something that is dead with it, it'll bring it back to life, and if he hits the living, they will immediately die. The stick, his weapon can kill 7 men in a single swing of it. So he is very much a guardian and a protector and a healer, but he also has the cauldron of plenty. No one that comes to his cauldron is ever turned away empty, because his cauldron is never empty. There is always food. There is always prosperity. There is always goodness to be drawn from the Dagda's cauldron. And this really does feel like this is his holiday. When you look at this, he is the Lord of the cattle, and today would be the day that all the cattle are blessed for the upcoming year. He's the Lord of the grains, and this is when the planting of the fields for grain would be done in Ireland. Like, everything lines up. We just don't have anything in the written tradition that says that this was his day. But for me and for a lot of other people, this is his day. This is the day to bring Andagda into your life. And he is a jovial giant of a man. I love all the stories of him. He's towers over so many people that they often confuse him for a giant. And when enraged, will just tear down his enemies. But when someone is sad, he will hold them, letting them weep into his shoulders and soothe them until they find peace. He is one of the best characters in literature of non-toxic masculinity, with a few exceptions. He didn't have an exclusivity contract with his wife, and she had other boyfriends too. He had a lot of women's in his life. Which can be
polyamory is a thing, okay?
Yeah,
it's been a thing.
We actually look at the contract that they made for their marriage, which is actually in the Cath Matoya. Yeah, the second battle of Matoya. I can't speak today. The second battle of Matoya. It has their marriage contract in there, and it's not an exclusive one. But yeah, he is the all father.
Yep.
Allah Father.
He's the good father.
I generally refer to him as Dirna when I talk to him, which means the fertile one, because it's kind of a joke and a jab at his expense, because he had many children, but he also made for the fertility of the land. So I often refer to him as Undirna, but he has a lot of names. You can look all of those up. But if you've not tried to have a relationship with him, he is a glorious spirit to have in your life. He's really good, especially if you're a baker. He loves to cook. Invite him into the kitchen with you and you cook. Magical things will happen. You'll suddenly go, what if I put this spice into this? Oh, that would be the craziest thing ever. Oh, wow, that worked. You can't tell, my husband cooks with the dog a lot. But yeah, I really do feel like today is kind of his day, and I just wanted to give him a little bit of props in here. Got to be careful about how we do this, because we don't do offerings today. And I keep saying that. I think I mentioned this at the beginning. You don't do offerings because anything you give out today, you are giving your prosperity for the year. So you don't give water, you don't give money. And the reason I said use a smokeless candle earlier, or a flame that doesn't smoke, is there was a tradition back in the olden days of the smoke thieves who would get up in the morning, go up to the tallest mountain, and there are so many stories. Like every city in every town in Ireland has a story about the smoke thief, and they're slightly different but all the same, who would go up to the top of the hill and call the smoke from all of the chimneys to themselves to steal the fortune of the entire town for themselves for the year. Because you don't give anything away, not even your smoke, which, and I don't know. I think that's funny. Yes, bake things. If you need permission granted, bake things. It is a wonderful thing to do. Make some cookies. Make a pie. Get baked on your own for your own personal fun and pleasure. I did. But that's kind of what this holiday means for me. Are there any questions? Any other comments that people want to make before we wrap it up? Anybody? I'm kind of giving it a moment because sometimes chat lag is the thing. I actually have, if you see me looking over there, it's because that's where my live YouTube is to see if any chats are coming in. But yeah, today is the beginning of abundance. So start thinking about what you want to do throughout the year. And again, try making an abundance altar. The worst thing that could happen is you're in this time next year and then you're in the same place you are now. And okay, well, I'm not going to do that again, or I'm going to do it differently. Just don't get too extravagant in it. Always tiptoe into any new practice that you pick up. All righty. So nothing new? Nothing else? Going once?
No, everybody's got their assignment.
Feels like it.
I've been secretly in the background moving around my room, digging through to find my tiny elephants.
Very nice.
Ganesh is a lot of fun. His stories are a lot of fun.
Oh,
it's really sad why he has an elephant's head.
Which, by the way, also someone with a great mother.
Yes.
Okay. Like Lord Ganesh's mom, also a pretty cool lady.
Alrighty. So thank you all so much for being here. I love seeing everybody that was in the chat. I love that this community was able to come together for this. Next week, we will be back over on my main channel over at Charlie Dorset Author. And we'll be doing a writing stream like usual that we do every Wednesday at this time. But it's a holiday. I wanted to do this over here.
Yeah.
All right.
Holiday.
So, sorry.
It's a cookie baking holiday. I said what I said.
All righty. So,
you got 3 days. Make something yummy. Just for you.
Chaos Demon is up and running, so it's time to get time to go. So go to Augustlan. Thank you all for being
pick wildflowers. Go have a good time.
Go have a good time.
Dream big.
Blessings of the season to you all, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.